Road to Nowhere. I believe this is the last kind of gallery we'll look at of your AI art. And I want to say that I only put in about half of the images that you sent over. And I also want to give you time before we jump into these images. Can you talk a little bit about this specific gallery? I think that needs a little bit more context built before we get into the images.
Yeah, this was a total wild card, really. I wanted to
Mhm.
see. So the title refers to a Talking Heads song, which is about the fact that really we're all going nowhere in a materialistic society or whatever. But
It's a way to end on a crescendo, right, Brian?
yeah. But what I was doing is it was based on the idea of prompting AI to come up with a photograph of absolutely nothing and to see what it did. And the idea behind this was based on something called a Rorschach test, which is a test that was invented by, I think it was a Swedish psychiatrist, and it's basically an ink blot, which is symmetrically formed by putting ink on a piece of blotting paper and folding it in two, and you get these patterns, and then you show the patterns to a patient and ask them what they see. And what they see is, obviously, because it's a randomly generated ink blot, what they see says much more about what's on the internal side of them than it does about the image itself. So I had this kind of conceit that by asking AI to present me with a photograph of nothing, that it was actually going to reveal something about about the internal workings of the AI's internal landscape, and also perhaps to reveal something about what it considers nothing to be. And there were some very interesting symbols, like red balloons came up, and I had no idea where that came from. And quite a lot of it's kind of apocalyptic. And I've done some thinking, and some of it's to do with a world that is where civilization has broken down, perhaps a world where there isn't much electricity, which is what, from the perspective of an AI, a world without electricity is probably nothing. And yeah, there were some of these symbols that kept coming back, like red chairs and red balloons, and it was all a bit apocalyptic, and I just very interesting. So I went down this rabbit hole, and I just kept going, because it was just I found it like an amazing experiment, and much more kind of exploring this new artistic medium rather than just trying to recreate aspects of things that have already been created in the camera or whatever.
And were all these created on Midjourney? This also is one of my favorite. I just think the vast expansiveness of wherever we are, the fact that it looks so dry for a long place periods of time, and then it looks like there's rain, and then there's rain in the foreground, but there's nothing. And that contrast to me is super powerful in a world where we know right now there's flooding in places that there's never been flooding before, but at the same time there is dryness and it complete, sequías. Why can't I think of words in English today? Drought. Thank you. In places where there hasn't been drought before, and at the same time, we're all just sitting on comfy couches. This to me says climate change in so many ways. I know that was probably a dive and a jump into it, but maybe that's my Rorschach test where I look at this and I see climate change, right? And that speaks to what's on my mind, what I'm thinking about. But was this created all? Talk to me about the tools that you use, because, and I've already kind of gone through some of the photos. This one is also one of the images. One of the things is the faces. No, humans aren't looking at you. There's only one image,
Right.
and that I've
Yeah.
shared, but this boy, this could be out of Interstellar, right? Where there's now all these dust explosions next to the cornfield or the field that he's near. This looks like an Alfred Hitchcock birds apocalypse where only the birds survive, and they, survive off the humans or something. And maybe that's dark. um, this and this this looks like something out of the Matrix, when literally Lawrence Fishburne is talking about the Matrix to Neo, right? And he's talking about what it looks like. Another chair, red, looking into the horizon, and this is where we are. But how did you, what did you use for this?
I mean, it's all Midjourney, basically. I mean, and most of the characters, I mean, there are quite a lot of landscapes not involving anyone at all, but the ones that did feature people were predominantly anonymous, in the sense that they were of people looking away into the distance. There are a few exceptions, but yeah, this is, I mean, the images you've got here are quite representative of the entire collection of work. And I think I probably made about, I don't know, I selected and archived upwards of 500 images in this collection already. And I guess it would be a question of trying to get it down into a smaller exhibition and upscaling some of the images so that you could make prints out of them or something like that.
Yeah, because this image specifically was so interesting to look at. So you clearly have a child who's looking out onto what looks like an ocean, but as you look closer, it looks like there are glaciers or there's ice that's been broken up. Yet the child is in shorts. So is it cold or is it warm out? And then is that something burning in the background that's creating that smoke? And if it is, why is it in such a V shape? Was it a rocket launch? What is happening that the child can look at? And is it in the ocean? I don't know. I looked at this one for a while, and this also felt very apocalyptic. This is maybe one of the more stunning images. And it's stunning because it looks like he's at a lake or something that is now dead. And it's just covered in trash, human trash, and he's just sitting there. I mean, this is like, some of these images are very apocalyptic, and it's interesting that when AI thinks about what nothing looks like, it looks like the end of our world, the end of our known world. And this image and this image, they look like they're out of The Road, right? We're in this post-apocalyptic world. Everything's kind of dingy. There's a lot of clouds. We don't see direct sunlight. There's kind of a glow.
Yeah, I mean, these images, I guess most of them are probably 6 months, 8 months old now. But when I was going through them and getting them together, and the apocalyptic nature became clear, it was kind of like, and then the red balloons. There's a song called 99 Red Balloons. I don't know if you've got any of the balloon ones in here.
Yep, I do. And there were more. I selected. I really like this one. I love this image. The colors are just so freaking strong. This image is amazing. It's like a trailer, or they were driving out in the middle of nowhere and it broke down, but that's still where they live. Here's the balloons. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know whether it's true. It's something that the internet thinks is true, is that the 99 Red Balloons song was a reference to nuclear war. So it's kind of like, it was odd to me that there was this red balloon thing. And I was kind of feeling that these were apocalyptic in the sense of a world after it had been ravaged by war, really. So given what's been going on recently with the standoff between Russia and NATO, when I was kind of going through these, that was kind of on my mind, that an end of civilization, is something that is of immediate concern, in the world at the moment.
It is, and I think that this is one of the only images. There was another image where the man was sitting in a chair and the sunlight was coming in. This is one of the more kind of disturbing images that I think I shared. There's a couple I curated out, but this one where he's clearly trying to eat, but he's just in a room of mud, and looks like sticks. This is another image, and the other thing that's fascinating about this is that the outside, or is that some kind of a screen that has that image on it?
Yeah, there were a lot like that, where
Yeah.
a frame within a frame, and some of them it's difficult to tell.
Mhm.
To me, that's the outside world through a
Same.
yeah,
It is. Yeah.
yeah.